When people talk about network marketing, they call them, pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
So tell me some misconceptions you've heard over the years.
Well, that's certainly one of them. Okay. A pyramid scheme. It's just a form of distribution. That's all it is. But I think to be successful in network marketing, you have to love the product that you're marketing. In his book, Getting All You Can Out of All You Got, he says in it that there's only 3 ways to grow a business. Number 1, get more customers, obviously. Number 2, when they come in to buy, get them to buy more things. And number 3, get them to come back more often.
What would you say to that person who says, show me the results and only those matter?
Well, that will attract you the top 20% of the sales reps, but you're leaving the 80% behind. You're ignoring that 80%, which is the difference between having a very profitable month or just an average month.
Welcome to the Be Better broadcast. Salespeople, today, this episode's for you. We are speaking with a very special man, and I'll tell you why afterwards. But to give you an idea who this man is, his name is Jim Packard. He is a serial entrepreneur, and in the traditional business sector, he turned a $500 investment into a $17 million per year enterprise. When they were bought out by a Fortune 500 company, he turned his attention to multi-level marketing. He leveraged relentless consistency to become distributor of the year in 2 different network marketing companies. He's the author of The Consistency Chain, which has helped thousands of people grow and scale their network marketing businesses. And today, Jim is the Chief Marketing Officer of Ninja Marketing, helping business owners fill their pipeline with customers. This is a man that is involved in many different businesses. He knows how to grow them. He knows how to be successful in sales. And he's a sales and marketing guru. And above all, he is a great and supportive friend who loves his family and loves to help his friends succeed. So when you take away anything from this conversation with Jim and I, please share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. We're not running ads. We're not bringing in sponsors because we don't want to interrupt your viewing experience. And we want you to enjoy the show. So without further ado, Jim, it's great to have you on the show, my friend. After all this time.
You. I know this is a long time happening, so this is great.
All the way from Arizona.
Yeah, it's early here, by the way.
What was that?
It's early here.
It is early there. I know.
It's 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, we adjusted the time to make it happen. So thanks for getting up early. Thanks for being here. But I think above all, Jim, I've known you for 3 years now. I don't know if you know, it's been 3 years since we first made contact. We met on LinkedIn. You sent me a message, and you've been one of the most, if not the most supportive person for me from someone I met on social media or LinkedIn. And I've just, so everyone knows, I've never paid Jim, right? You've actually been a part of my programs, Jim. And when I asked you why you joined, you said, I wanted to support you and I wanted to help you. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the friendship that we've created. And while we don't talk every day, every time we do talk, I learn a lot from you. And a lot of people are going to learn a lot from you today. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over these last few years.
So tell me, how did you get into sales? What drew you into the world of sales in the first place? Because we don't really grow up looking to become a salesperson. So how did that happen?
Well, that's interesting because when I was growing up in the 4th grade, they had a contest at school at Lincoln Elementary School in Augusta, Maine, where you got to sell newspaper subscriptions or greeting card subscriptions. And I looked at that and I'm thinking, wow, they only the 4th and 5th graders got to sell these things. So I went out and sold them and came in first as a 4th grader, which was kind of a cool. And I got to pick any gift I wanted, out of the whole room. And I picked a white pearl-handled knife. Can you imagine giving it? First of all, can you even imagine giving a knife away in school today?
Yeah, that wouldn't happen.
Well, I picked out the white pearl-handled knife with the leather case, and on the way home on the bus, I cut my finger. The bus driver took my knife away, wrapped my finger with his handkerchief, and that was the end of that story.
Wow.
But and I'm thinking, I'm pretty good at this, and that kind of stuck with me. And when I got into junior high school, I was living in Miami, Florida. And I went to work I was selling newspaper subscriptions. They had a contest. And the first 3 people got to go to the Seattle World's Fair 4 through 60 got to go to Washington, D.C. and then up to New York. And little did they know that I was a gigantic New York Yankee fan, and I just wanted to see Mickey Mantle. And this was back in 1961. And I didn't qualify for 4 through 60. I actually won the contest, and I had to trade down to go on a train to go to New York just to see Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. And they both hit home runs that day. That they beat the Minnesota Twins 4-2. And I'm thinking, awesome. I'm pretty good at sales, so that set the tone for everything. That's what, when I got into college, and, I just knew I wanted to get into a sales type of job.
Wow. So you actually did grow up knowing you get into sales, which isn't the way I got into sales. I graduated and I was going to school, like, and I just found myself in a sales role and realized the income that you can create. And I'm still with that company. We were just talking about it. And I've just been there 12 years. And I mean, sales is the blood of everything. Without sales, no business can grow. Without sales, you can't get your point across. Without sales, it's really hard to live a great life, because sales really is two things in my mind. Sales is service and helping people, and it's communication, right? You can't sell without communication, and you can't sell without serving people, at least long term.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. When I graduated from the University of Maine, and I took a job at a gigantic retail store down in Hartford, Connecticut called G. Fox and Company. And I was working for them. I mean, it was a beautiful store. I liked it. I was an assistant buyer and department manager and things like that. And all of a sudden, they had a contest where the leading department over quota won a trip to Bermuda. And I won that trip.
Cool.
And in fact, it was the first time that Sherry, my wife, and it was the first time she ever flew on an airplane.
Okay.
And we went to Bermuda for 4 days, 5 nights, something like that. And when I got back, there was a letter in the mail, and I opened up this letter, and it says, "Dear Jim, your dear sir," or whatever it said. It says, "Your name has come to our attention as the type of person that possesses the skills and the abilities that we're looking for. We'd love to interview you and your lovely wife. Would you like to please join us at the Hartford Hilton," I think it was a Holiday Inn or whatever it was, on Tuesday night at 7:00. And I'm thinking, they found out that I won the trip. All right. Somebody found out I won the trip. They wrote me this letter. So Sherry and I went to the meeting.
Cool.
Found out it was a network marketing meeting.
Yes.
All right. Never knew, never heard of network marketing in my entire life. All right. I later found out that out of 1,000 letters that were sent out, we were the only one to respond to it.
Whoa.
So it was 1,000 to 1 that I got there. I joined the network marketing company. It was really interesting. Cost $3,200 to join.
Okay.
Think about it, $3,200 to join. This was back in 70.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we joined that company. We flourished in it. We worked there for a couple of years. I realized that because I was working at G. Fox and Company, where I didn't meet a lot of people, I needed to get an outside job. And it really gave me the confidence to look for an outside job and eventually start my own company. And that's how I got into network marketing. It was kind of like a 1,000 to 1 shot. And we basically bought the dream. It was the best $3,200 I ever spent.
It's so interesting how you were the one person out of 1,000 to respond. And that turned into, because how many people are really successful in any sales role, any business, any network marketing role? There's a lot of misconceptions out there about network marketing. Let me be clear. I've been a part of network marketing. I used to sell isogenics, and it was never very serious. I was 20, 21 years old, and I had a coworker who signed me up for it. I bought the product. It was a great product. I loved it. And there was a lot of people who were successful in that business, and every network marketing business, but there's a lot of people who aren't. But that's not only unique to network marketing. That's that's everywhere. There's always going to be, and this is what you talk about in consistency chain. There's always going to be the one person or the 20% of people who get 80% of the results.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I didn't know that you were with Isogenics.
Yep, I was in Isogenics.
They're headquartered right out here in Arizona.
Okay, that's cool.
They're here. So I actually got to play with the owner of Isogenics a couple 3 years ago. And
cool.
Yeah,
great company, great product.
Yeah, it's a great company. It's a fantastic company, and that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I got into network marketing. I'm still with the. Back in those days, I got into it. The company got shut down eventually for front end loading. I mean, $3,200 up front, right?
Yes.
We got $3,000 worth of soap and plastic bottles and all that stuff. And I found out that I was good at recruiting, good at selling, so I got rid of all of it. But I think, we talk about the 80-20 principle, but in network marketing, it's probably 97.3%. 3% of the people make the money. So
why do you think you were successful? Why did you decide to go all in on this opportunity?
Well, first of all, I was scared to death. Can you imagine a bank giving? I don't know what I was, 26 years, 22 years old, whatever I was. I can't even imagine the bank giving me $3,200 to go into business when I was only making $7,000. So I remember driving down the road in my little VW going, what have I done? What have I done? So I think I was successful in spite of myself. It was out of fear. I had to sell the stuff and recruit the people. And I think I just found out that because I worked a full day, I was successful. I didn't worry about the numbers. I just went out and talked to people. So.
You focused on putting in the activity versus the result that you were getting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All about activity. Yeah.
Is that still how you look at it today?
I still do it today. Same thing. Oh, yeah. In fact, I can probably show you. Hang on. This is my daily thing. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's my call sheet and what I've already done today. It's all about consistency, about actions, doing them.
So even today, you are still every single day writing down the things that you're doing. Do you plan for the next day, or do you start your day in the morning and you start right there?
It's interesting. I start the day before. All right. I know who I'm going to call today already. I just haven't got to it because it's so early, but I know who I'm going to call today already. So, yes. So I do start the day before. Absolutely.
What are some misconceptions when it comes to multi-level marketing? And when I ask you this, I think of attempts of people like there was a gentleman from Primerica. I'm sure you're very familiar with Primerica.
Yeah,
also
great company.
Marketing. Great company. Yeah, yes.
Great company.
And years ago, let me tell you what turned me off to network marketing at the beginning. And now I understand it's simply a marketing vehicle for a company to be successful. So I do respect them and I understand them more now. But when I was 21, 22, a gentleman came into this retail store I was working at, and he just fluffed me up. He was a very smooth talker, good-looking guy, and he was like, Brandon, you're so good at this. You're a great salesperson. You should come work with me. You should do this. You'll make a lot of money. And I was like, wow, this sounds really good. No one's ever told me this. No one's ever tried to recruit me like this hard. So I went to Starbucks with the guy, and he attempted to recruit me into Primerica. And I didn't understand what network marketing really was at that time. And I was like, oh, this guy was just fluffing me up because he wanted me to work for him. So I'm sure there's great ways to recruit and also not great ways to recruit. But what are the misconceptions? Because when people talk about network marketing, they call them, pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
So tell me some misconceptions that you've heard over the years.
Well, that's certainly one of them. Okay. A pyramid scheme. It's just a form of distribution. That's all it is. But I think to be successful in network marketing, you really have to find you have to love the product that you're marketing. You have to believe in the product. I have a friend of mine that's in a skincare business, does extremely well, and he always tries to recruit me in it. And I keep telling him, I go, Mike, I don't see myself selling skincare. That's just not me. Okay. And he says, yeah, but there's so much, money in it. And I go, can't do it. All right. I have to believe in the product first. All right. So I sell the product, not the opportunity. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. And and by writing the book, The Consistency Chain, I mean, my partner, his name is George Campbell. He's a great speaker. He's fabulous. Actually, he's in the Speakers Hall of Fame. He was a comic for 10 years with Jerry Seinfeld and that whole group of comics that came up together. And I met him in network marketing. He was speaking at one of the events, and we got talking afterwards. And he always wondered, how can you be successful in one company and not successful in another? And I go, well, it's the same way in network marketing. You know, a lot of people are successful, but they're not successful in this. And we just started doing a lot of research and found out it's because of the way you're wired from early on, from 5 years old. Some people need instant gratification. Other people can delay gratification. And once we found out the secret to that, I'm a much better manager today or leader today than I ever was 20 years ago, because of now I understand. I used to think that people just didn't have a big enough why, didn't have the why that made them cry. All right. That's not true at all. All right. It's just a matter of that just wired differently. And,
really?
Yeah.
So do you believe that we're born with it, or do you believe that sales is something that we can learn?
Well, I think that in network marketing, right, that they did a study. It was in Stanford where they put 300 5-year-olds in a room, and they put down a marshmallow, and they told the child, they said, if you can eat the marshmallow now, go right ahead and eat it. Or if you wait until I come back into the room, which will be in 20 minutes, if the marshmallow is still there, I'll give you the second marshmallow. Well, how many people do you think ate the marshmallow?
More than not, I would guess.
80%. 80% of them, because they needed that instant gratification. 20% didn't. And they've done studies throughout the years, to the teenage years, and then in the 30s and into their 50s. And they found out that most people that have success are wired for it back in the 3rd grade. But it's a skill that you can learn. So that's why you can learn the skill of sales.
So do you believe that delayed gratification is a sales success trait or an overall success trait in general?
Overall, definitely. Yeah.
Do you believe there's any way to change that programming, or are we always programmed?
No. There's if there wasn't a way to change it, we'd all be in trouble. There's a way to do it, and you have to do it, and that's in the consistency chain. You read the book and you'll find out the answer. But
Yep. No, I love your book. You sent it to me several years back. So why did you write the consistency chain? You met George. You're like, hey, we got to do something together. You did. You created this book, and you do many other things together as well. But why create that book? Was it for your distributors, the people you recruited under you? Was it for the general public? Because that's a very highly acclaimed book. I mean, you've got 500,000 reviews on Amazon, and that's a lot. That's a lot of people who went on there to leave a review, and they're all very, very high reviews. This is a great book. So why did you write that? Who was it for? It was
it's George says it best when we talk at different events. He says, Jim, you talk to the first 3 rows in the audience. I speak to everybody sitting in the back of the room. So the book is really for both people. It's for we're trying to reach the people sitting in the back of the room. Because you can imagine, if you have a sales company, 20% of your leaders are going to give you 80% of your sales. But if you can tap into that 80%, even 20% of the 80%, if you can tap into them, you can imagine what that can do for a profit of a company. It will skyrocket it, because you're reaching the people that want to walk across the stage, that want to win the trips. They just don't have a plan to do it. And me as a leader, I just keep standing on stage and say, just do the same thing I've always done. Be like me. Well, people aren't like you and I. All right.
True.
All right. They need a system. They need a system that they can stick to, and they'll get there.
Give me an idea of what this system is. Is the system different for everyone, or is it inside the consistency chain? Give me a glimpse of what you can teach people and show them.
Well, it's a matter of the consistency chain is a goal-setting strategy for people that have a hard time sticking to a plan. That's what it amounts to.
What's that look like?
For example, my partner George, he never worked out. So he said, well, I'm gonna start going to the gym every single day, and I'm gonna start working out. And when he got back to his house, all right, he wrote down on the calendar, I am fitter. All right, that's all he did. I am fitter on the calendar. He'd go work out the next day, and rather than have a lengthy, exercise schedule or something to do, all he did is go to the gym. And when he got back home, I am fitter. I am fitter. I am fitter. So he established a direction that he was doing. He wasn't worrying about losing a certain amount of pounds or anything in that line. He was just trying to get better for today, just for today. And it's all about, like I say, it's a strategy that gives us a different way to measure success. And you can change the strategy as you go. That's not cast in concrete. So you can change it as you're developing it. But it's just to be successful today, just today.
Wow.
Right? So
And
you can obviously relate that to sales. So
I think of one person specifically who I've worked with for 3.5 years now. You've got people who are working in our store who are making 10 grand a month, and you've got people who are working in the same store, same product, same influx of customers who are making $2,000 a month. And this person is well-meaning, and he's always saying, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. And he'll have a good month where he makes $5,000, and he's like, how do I do this every month? And then the next month he makes 2 or 3. And it's like, what separates that person? And I've never given the advice to him that you just gave, which is, hey man, like, I know you've got a monthly goal. I know you've got these giant things that you want to achieve, but what are you going to do today? How can you be better today? What activity can you make today? Because again, what you just described is what you described earlier, activity over results, which
absolutely.
I know sales managers, many of them who, it doesn't mean they're right, but they would listen to that and they'd say, only the results matter. Show me the results.
Yeah, it's not true.
What would you say to that person who says, show me the results and only those matter?
Well, that will attract you the top 20% of the sales reps, but you're leaving the 80% behind. You're ignoring that 80%, which is the difference between having a very profitable month or just an average month.
Yeah.
So it's just, you got to get that 80% of people just to do something on a regular basis. And if they just do it just today, and then do it just tomorrow, and then the next day, you're going to have a successful team.
What's up, Be Better family? It's Brandon Eastman here. And as a thank you for tuning in to the Be Better broadcast, I want to give you a very special gift. For a limited time, you can get a free digital copy of my book titled Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery. This book is packed with insights and actionable steps that will help you to unlock your fullest potential in the 5 key areas of your life. But that's not all. Along with the book, I also want to give you the audiobook version absolutely free. Imagine having the power to transform your life right at your fingertips and in your ears anytime, anywhere. Go grab your copy at bebetterindustries.com/book. You'll also find the link in the episode show notes. Go and grab your copy and join me in making a positive impact on the world. Now back to the show. So you've been in this world of sales for a long time. Does activity always equate to results?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, when we were building our company, we had our ups and downs, Brandon. We had a very successful company, but it wasn't always that way. At one point, we had a 34-to-1 debt to equity ratio. And for those people that don't know what that means, it means that for every dollar that I own, I owe 34. And I remember my partner and I sitting down and saying, well, what are we going to do? Do we declare bankruptcy? All right. We started talking to a couple of friends that are in the business, and they didn't have the money to bail us out. They didn't have enough money to help us. So I remember my partner looking at me and he says, Jim, if we could just get the salespeople to do what you do on a daily basis, we could perhaps save the company. And I said, well, Charlie, I said, all I do is, okay, everything I do is activity based. We're selling copiers, okay, and photocopiers up and down the street. And I go, I judge my day not by how many copiers I sold, but how many I found out in the field. Like if I found a Xerox copier, I know that's worth 3 points. If I found a Pitney Bowes, that was worth 5 points. If I found a 3M, that was worth 1 point. All right. And I would try to get 20 points every single day, because I know if I went out and found the copiers that eventually lead to a sale for me. So we got all our people to start doing activity-based functions, and we turned the company around in 60 days after that. So, I mean, literally turned it around. I remember the month. It was one of the better months I've ever had. At the end of the month, we still lost $100,000. Well, because I couldn't make up for the other 7 salespeople that we had at the time and what they were doing. However, once I got everybody on the point system, I mean, we turned it around. The second month into it, we made $50,000, and then we never made less than $100,000 after that. So it was all activity based, just going out and finding the machines. And we came back at the end of the day. We'd post them on the board. How many points did you get? How many points did you get? Didn't ask anybody if they made a sale. I didn't care. Okay, how many points did you get? Everything was based on activity, and it really turned our company around. That plus the fact that now you remember when I started the company, it was just me. I had $500 in the dream, right? Yep. And then I brought in a partner. I brought in a salesperson, and I go, well, we're going to need a technician, okay, to fix the machines. And so we went and hired a technician, best person I could find. And we go, okay, now we have like 3 of us. What do we do with Ronnie all day long? I mean, he can't sell. He's a tech, right? I mean, he can't sell. And I go, well, I remember my dad used to work for an insurance company, and they had him go out and collect the debit every single month, go to the account's house, pick up the whatever they owed monthly. And I said, let's just have him go visit accounts. We'll just have him go visit them. Well, we worked so hard to find an account, we weren't going to lose one.
Yeah.
Right? So we had a person that we'd have him go 1 week and clean off the glass, add toner to the hopper, put paper in the machine, wipe it off, and then leave. Well, we started doing that, and then we finally realized that, my God, that activity alone, the lifetime value of a customer can be as much as 10 times the original purchase price. Right? And what turned out to be, what do we do with Ronnie, turned into a marketing. It was genius for us to do that, because we never lost an account that we established, because we would go visit them so often. I think when we sold the company, and we sold it to a large Fortune 500 company, we were doing 122 hours per week of courtesy visits on the accounts themselves.
Wow.
All right. 122 hours a week. Now they eliminated that when they bought us out, and their market share has gone way down. Right.
Yeah.
But by having Ronnie visit the accounts, well, little did we know that all of those accounts, 70% of them were apt to do more business with you. You got more referrals from those accounts. And I mean, we started sending them. That's where I came up with the anniversary cards, where we started sending anniversary cards to the copiers that people bought. So you can imagine you're sitting in your office, and all of a sudden you get the mail delivered to you, and you open it up and it says happy anniversary. And you go, it's not my anniversary. Yeah, it's the anniversary of the day that you bought the photocopier from us.
Oh, cool.
All right. And we couldn't find the greeting cards. I mean, we couldn't find cards to send to clients. I mean, you go to Staples and they're all the same back in those days. So I always had that in the back of my mind. And when I sold the company and moved to Arizona, I said, what am I going to do next? Well, I remember our customer retention program that we had with our copier company was outstanding. So that's when I came up with started my own greeting card company, making cards for 2 people, salespeople, all right, because salespeople really need them, all right.
Yep.
And my wife loved pets, so we did it for pets. And I remember the first call I made on PetSmart, which is located here in Phoenix. They loved the concept of our cards, and within 90 days, we were in over 900 stores.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And that was our big account. And then I would go to car dealerships. I'd go to insurance companies and show them our line of greeting cards that we had, and said, if you buy these, you have, you send them to your customers. You're going to retain those customers, and that's how I got, and then I eventually found out there was a network marketing company that dealt just in greeting cards, and I got involved with that, and I've been with them for 20 years. So,
how many of these, as an example, how many of these car dealerships stay with the company for years and years on end because they get results? What percent would you say?
Well, I know that 86%, if you bought a car from somebody, 86% of the people that bought the car from you won't buy it from you the second time because they're perceived indifference from the dealership. I mean, that's the fact I just read the other day.
Yeah.
And to get the salesperson to send the card, it's like, it's non-existent. So I came up with my own program where I send the cards on behalf of the salespeople, and that has proved to be very successful.
What kind of results have salespeople reported to you? Do you have any anecdotal stories of someone receiving a card and being like, "Oh yeah, Jim sold me a car. I'm going to go back to him. I'm going to send my friend Susie." What are some anecdotal stories that you're hearing? Because I think about this in the cell phone business, and it's like this could be valuable for the cell phone business as well.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Who's calling me this early? My goodness. I have a lot of customers. I know I have a roofing customer. He puts roofs on people, and nobody in that industry sends people a card after they've, restructured their roof, but he does, and he gets more referrals. He gets something like, I read a statistic that said that if you get a referral from a satisfied customer, you have a 6 times, you have a 6 times better chance of making that additional sale versus 20 times from any other type of industry. So I know he got $1.5 million order just because he sent a card out, and I've got a testimonial here that shows that, that paid for his cards forever. Right?
Yeah,
just that one sale. I have people that are in the car business that, I've some people, excuse me, they don't send cards on a regular basis. So that's why I came up with the program. Well, I'll send them for you. You send me your top 25 customers. Mm-hmm. I'll keep in touch with them for you.
Cool.
I'll send them I just sent cards to this particular client. In the last week of March, I sent cards out, and on the front of the card, it says, "I don't want your business." And then when they opened it up, it says April Fools.
That's awesome.
All right. I sent that one out. My Halloween cards are great, are fantastic cards. Okay. I send out Thanksgiving cards. I said, how many touches do you want to have with them? What's the customer worth to you? All right. And then we play it.
What's the sweet spot? What's the sweet spot for how often you should be reaching out to your customers?
Well, the sweet spot is probably once a month. All right. If you send a card to somebody once a month, and let's say it costs you $40 or $50 a year for that one client, you're always going to be on the top of their mind, right? You're always going to. So when they find somebody that they're in a conversation with them and they're looking for a car, they're going to say, well, I get these cards from my dealership or from my sales rep, and they don't have your logo plastered all over it, and like, we love referrals too and stuff like that. They're genuine cards. They mean something to a person. So
yeah, no, they're very unique. Every time I receive a card from you, and like I mentioned, Janine too has been on the show. I number one, as soon as I see the envelope, it's you. I think of you. I think of, I should reach out to Jim. And I always read the card, and there's some quirky cards in there. Let's be real, but they're funny, right? They're funny because they're quirky, and they're not just like, "Hey, Brandon, hope you're doing well." Like, it's funny things, like, "I don't want your business," like what you just said, and then April Fools. Like, they're very cool. For those listening, this is very, very cost effective to do this. And I know we talked about the pricing in the past, but you just said for $40 or $50 a year, you could send a card monthly to your customer.
Yeah, absolutely. Like here's an example of one of the cards. Can you read that?
Here, let me zoom in a little bit. There you go. Babe Ruth struck out
Okay. I don't know where to put it.
more times than he hit home runs. Okay.
Okay. Then when you open it up, see the card has a little envelope inside of it, right?
Although we didn't do business this time, and it's got a baseball at the top.
Yeah. You pull out the punchline out of the envelope.
We're looking forward to our next at bat. Nice.
Right?
That's cool.
So,
yeah.
And I came up with that card because somebody said to me, he said, well, if we lose a customer, I never have the right card to send to somebody, right? So we came up with that one just to send to somebody after we've lost a sale.
Oh.
And what we found out, all right, is sometimes a sale is not always lost. We think it is, but it isn't. And you can recapture the sale because of the way you handled yourself at the end of it.
100%.
You know?
Yes. That's great. I love that. I want to ask you more about it after, but I'm curious because you've done a lot of different things in your sales career. You didn't just work in one business, get the gold watch after 50 years and retire, right? You're still doing it to this day.
Yeah.
You discover network marketing. You start your copier business. You sell that business. You continue network marketing. You start your greeting card business. You've done a lot of different things and many different ventures. How do you know when to move towards a new opportunity? How do you know it's the right time and the right idea to do something else? What does that transition process look like for you?
If it gets me excited, if I find a product, like if I find something that I think, oh my goodness gracious, all my customer base would love to have a product like this. And I go, somebody's got to show it to them. Why not me? Right. So I'm constantly looking for new ideas, new concepts, so that I can share them with the people that are in my database. So,
and how do you know that you are moving, even though you're excited? How do you know you're moving towards a good opportunity? Because it seems like you've turned many of these opportunities in the gold when there was no gold to be had at the beginning. How do you know when it's good rather than you're just being distracted by a new shiny object?
if you can make money with it, I guess.
But can't you turn any vehicle into a profitable vehicle? Like if I started with Primerica tomorrow, in 5 years, I could be doing very well with Primerica or Isogenics.
You'd have to love it though, right? You'd really have to love the product. I mean, I think Primerica is a great example. I mean, they're a great company, great products, right? We have so many people that use our cards in Primerica. I mean, because they just want to keep in touch with their clients.
Yeah.
But I think you just have to believe in the product itself. I mean, it's, if you believe in the product and I show somebody how to just keep in touch with people, and all of a sudden you get a note in the mail saying, by the way, just want to let you know, because we sent this person a card and brownies, they loved it. They just gave us a referral, which we resulted into a sale. I mean, that's just so gratifying.
Yeah, no doubt. And what else is gratifying is, and this is very important to say, is you've built these businesses, you've built your sales career while building what's most important, which is your family. And you're married, you've got several children, and what's even cooler, and this isn't by design because people are going to do their own things, children are going to do their own things, they're going to grow up into their own people, but your children are also in sales and they're building their companies, and you get to work together with your children, which is a beautiful thing. So you've built a really cool, interesting life where you get to go golf on the course, work with your kids, advance your own ventures. But I have a very specific question for you. Being the father of a 10-month-old, how do you go about balancing building a prosperous sales career while also building your family and being there for your family? Is there a one-size-fits-all tip that you can give, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, family is so important to me. I've been married for 53 years. Right?
Awesome.
So the same lady, I have 2 grown sons. They're both entrepreneurs. I mean, they're both, and I think I'm best friends with both of them. So it's a great feeling to have. When I was at the height of my growing my copier business, my kids were in high school, and I never missed a game. Not one game. I saw every tennis match, golf match, basketball match, you name it. I was there for it. My wife and I were both there for it. So we always showed them that we always took the extra effort in visiting them. So it's, that's very important to me. And, you mentioned earlier, what's one thing that I did. I think I've always been involved in personal growth, reading books, finding books that were meaningful to me. And I became a great fan of a person by the name of Jay Abraham, who's a marketing guru. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not. Okay.
Yep. He was big in the 80s.
Oh yeah. He gets $50,000 an hour for consulting. I mean, he's just tremendous. And in his book, Getting All You Can Out of All You Got, he says in it that there's only 3 ways to grow a business. Just 3 ways. We might think there's 100 different ways to grow a business, but he said there's only 3 ways to grow a business. Number 1, get more customers, obviously. Number 2, when they come in to buy, get them to buy more things. And number 3, get them to come back more often. Now, if you're somebody like McDonald's and have an unlimited budget, to get more customers into your doors, all you have to do is advertise more or put up a new building. If you want them to buy more, when they go to check out, just ask them the phrase, do you want more fries with that hamburger? And I think that increased their business, their profit by 35%, just asking that tagline.
Yeah.
And the third way, offer more availability. And when I was growing up, the only thing you could buy at McDonald's was a hamburger. They didn't have breakfast. They weren't open for breakfast. All right. Yeah. And in the evening, they didn't have anything but hamburgers, but now they have salads and things. And he says, you have to think outside the box. You have to be creative. And one of the things he said was that if you can look at other industries and what makes them successful, and if you can apply that to your own industry, then what might be as common as dirt in their industry might have the effect of an atomic bomb going off in your industry. And I looked at that, and then that was very meaningful to me. At the time, we just got back we had a sales contest at Sandals Resorts, which is where you go and you put your wallet in the safe and lock it up because everything's all inclusive. And I'm thinking, what a great concept. What a great idea, right? And when I got back home, I applied it to the copier business. And I said, can you imagine having a program where back in those days, you bought a copier, you bought the maintenance contract, and you bought the supplies, all right? Well, I came up with a program where cost per copy, where I'd come to you and say, for a nickel a copy, I'll put a copier in here. I'll give you all the service you need, all the supplies you need, all the paper, everything. I'll just bill you a nickel per copy.
Cool.
And that also turned our company around. And when we were coming up with this little thing with an envelope inside, that whole concept, all right, came from your mother's iron that had the little thing, all right, that kept it, that came with, that concept came up with coming up with this particular product right here. This is a product that I took on QVC.
You sold that on QVC?
Yeah, we sold over 1 million of them on QVC.
And that's where you met Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah, that's where I met Tony Robbins. Yep.
That's cool.
And probably
you invented that?
Yeah, people don't even know what it is. Right?
What is it?
It died on the retail shelf because people didn't know what it was. Right? Yeah. But we went on QVC and showed it, and it's a device that it just holds a cord of a mouse, so that when you use the mouse, the cord doesn't get all over the place.
Now, how did you think of that?
Well, that's what came from the iron. Okay.
Oh.
All right. That was. I was on QVC. I guess I would 25, 30 times selling these things.
Cool.
And it was just find a problem. All right. Find a solution, which this was the solution, and see what happens. And we had them on the retail shelves of Best Buy and and Office Max and places like that and Staples, but it died on the shelf. And then we found out that if we could get into QVC, which only take 3 products out of every 100 submitted, people saw what it did. They loved it. And I mean, we sold, like I said, we sold millions of these little things. So
it's cool. So what I take from that is you look around wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and you ask, how can I take this really cool concept and apply it to something else in my life or something that hasn't even been invented yet?
Yeah. And the little envelope inside the greeting card.
Yeah.
That concept came from the Cracker Jack box.
Okay.
There's a little gift inside of here, right?
Yes.
You probably don't even know that. You probably don't
I've heard
remember
of it.
these.
I'm familiar.
There's a little gift inside of this little box. And that's where the concept came up, with a little envelope inside the greeting card. So
that's smart.
Yeah, we just have fun with stuff. I can tell. It's got to be fun. It does have to be profitable. All right. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. And just go out and market it. So
yeah. Awesome. So I know there's a lot of people who are going to be asking the question of, I want to learn more about these greeting cards. I want to stay in touch with my customers. But before that, I want to ask you, because you brought up that planner to me before, and it's a very official looking piece of paper. That's not just a white piece of paper you're writing things down on. Like, is that a planner that you created? Is that found somewhere that people can find or buy? Or
no, if somebody can just call me, I'll just send it to them.
Okay.
I have 2 of these. I have 2 of them. I have them for the 20 percenters, and I have them for the 80 percenters.
Okay.
Right. There's 2 different forms that I use. If you're
will someone really admit if they're an 80 percenter? Because I remember reading the consistency chain the first time, and you meant it was you as the top 80. You were the top 20%. George was the 80%, which I thought was very interesting. People have egos, though. So do people really admit they're the 80%?
Yeah, absolutely do.
Okay.
They'll read the book and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, I'm an 80 percenter.
Okay.
I didn't realize it. I'm an 80 percenter in most of my life. I'm 20% in some things, perhaps, but I'm an 80 percenter mostly. How do I overcome that?" And I have an 80% one that I'll show it to you. It's just it says the consistency chain.
Reach out, talk to, the date, and then you've got those colorful boxes at the top. Do those matter, or is that like a logo?
No, those matter. It depends on, like, I have 4 or 5 different products that I market.
Yes.
So I color coordinate them.
Cool. I love that. So we're not going to put your phone number in there because you'll get a lot of spam calls. What's the best email for people to reach out to you to get a copy of that?
Just Jim@jimpackard.com.
Jim@jimpackard.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't advertise my greeting card service. I mean, I keep it, I have about 45 accounts that I utilize and just market for them. But if I'll give them all the information they want on it, that's for sure.
That's great. So people can reach out to talk to you about that, but also to get a copy of either planner. So they should say, I'm the 80 percenter or I'm the 20 percenter.
It doesn't make any difference. So good.
Okay.
The book. So
just reach out to Jim, guys, and ask him. I have one final question for you, and I'm curious to hear what you say. Assume this is the final day on Earth, right? This is your final day. But before you go, someone gives you a pen, someone gives you a piece of paper, and they say, Jim, I want you to write 2 pieces of advice or tenets or tips that you're going to leave behind for your children, for all the salespeople out there, the 80 percenters, the 20 percenters. And when you're gone, they'll walk into the room and they'll find this piece of paper with 2 tenets written down. What are those 2 things that you would bestow upon those who read it?
Wow. I didn't know this question was going to come. I'd probably relay if you took a penny and you doubled it every day for 30 days, at the end of 30 days, all right, you would have $5 million in the bank, right? Right. If you took that same penny and you doubled it every other day, at the end of the month, you would have $163 in the bank. So you can see the difference in compounding. And I would want people to understand how important consistency is in building whatever they're building. Are you building a $163 business or a $5 million business? So I would have everybody look at that. So
that's great. I don't even think we need two with that one. I think that one counts as two itself. Cool.
Okay.
I love that. That's great advice. It goes along with what we talked about. And again, Jim, I learned a lot more about you today. And I know that those listening, they were able to listen for 48 minutes and take away a ton that they can use to build their business. I know I personally have. And guys, if you want to reach out to Jim@jimpackard.com.
Yeah.
Links are in the description to reach out.
And they can also reach me on LinkedIn if they want to.
Okay, cool. So I'll put your LinkedIn down there also. But I'm glad we finally made this happen. This has been awesome.
Yeah, finally. Yeah.
Yes.
You've come a long way, baby. You've come a long way.
This was just starting when I met you. The podcast was practically brand new.
It was.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's been a wild ride, and I'm glad that you've gotten to be a part of it, and I'm glad to know you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you're a salesperson, you're thinking about getting into sales, you're some other sort of profession, you've learned something during this conversation that can help you to make more money, take better care of your customers, serve at a higher level, and be more consistent in your life and your sales and your family, whatever it is. If you took away something of value, please share this conversation with just one other person who could use it as well. You're the best part of the Be Better family, and you're the reason our show has grown the way it has over the last 3 years. Jim's information is in the description. Be sure to reach out to him. Check out his LinkedIn. Send him an email. He'll give you a copy of that planner that he showed you, which is a very nice planner. I want to print it out in color, make some copies for myself. And be sure to check out his greeting cards. Again, he doesn't advertise it. If that is something where you're like, this could be helpful for me, then Jim loves to connect. Reach out to him. He loves to meet new people. That's why he's been so successful in business. And I'm sure he'd love to meet you too. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.